Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to pick number 21 of my favorite 31 debut albums of all time. The top debut albums. Can only pick 31 for the list because there's 31 days in October. We're doing it all together here each and every day. So many great debut albums across the history of music. Somehow we got to just squeeze our 31 favorites into this list, right? That's all we can do. Some great ones not going to be mentioned this month. Not going to make the cut of the final 31. The top 31. But this one had to be here, right? This album, very cool debut, released November 3rd, 1971. Recorded at CBS Studios in New York City. Produced by John McLaughlin for Columbia Records. I'm talking about The Intermounting Flame from the Mahavishnu Orchestra. That's right. Got a little fusion, jazz fusion here. A little jazz rock. Prog rock. Crazy rock. Crazy jazz. Whatever you want to call this. It's like the Mahavishnu Orchestra. They don't really fit too neatly into any one. Yeah, they're always called one of the great and founding fathers of the fusion scene, jazz fusion scene, jazz and rock fused together, fusion, right? But sometimes, I listen to these albums by then, and I'm kind of like, man, this is just like some cosmic shit that doesn't really sound like anything else, right? It's got elements of prog rock, it's got elements of jazz and classical and rock. It's just all coming together, and you got the Indian, Middle Eastern influences and just all sorts of weirdness going on here, but it's just absolutely brilliant. It's savage, it's beautiful, it's all these things wrapped up into one. Of course, John McLaughlin, the leader of the band, on guitars, Billy Cobham on drums and percussion, Rick Laird on bass, Jan Hammer on keyboards, and the great Jerry Goodman on violin, and Don Poulos helping out with the engineering of the album, working alongside Mr. McLaughlin. What do we have on this album? Well, we got, I've told the story a million times here on the channel, but I still remember the first time I ever heard this record and this band. It was, I think, my sophomore, junior year in college, SUNY New Paltz here in New York. And one of my next door neighbors, he was a big deadhead, and it was in the middle of the afternoon one day. I guess neither one of us had classes. And he was like, hey, you want to come next door and listen to some cool music, man? Maybe just hang out and chill for a little while? Mid-'80s, you know what happens when you're hanging out, chilling for a while, right? Without getting into it. So we're sitting there, we're grooving, just chilling out, talking. He puts on this record, and it was this one. And me, of course, I'm, all metal and almost nothing else at the time, and I'm just, and I'm constantly talking to him about Yngwie Malmsteen and Sabbath and Metallica and all this kind of stuff, right? And he's just like, whatever, dude. It's like mostly he would play me dead stuff. I remember one day I went over there, and me and him and a couple other dudes, friends of his, we were listening to the Stones. And they put on Sympathy for the Devil, and he's like, and they all have these like bongos and stuff. He's like, dude, bring your guitar and your amp over. Let's jam to Sympathy for the Devil. So like, I went over there and I brought my BC Rich son of a bitch pink guitar and my little PV amp and went next door, and we just for an hour just jammed over and over and over again on Sympathy for the Devil. It's things you do when you're young and in college and you have no class, and you're drinking and doing other things or whatever in the middle of the afternoon, whatever. Anyway, it was fun. But back to the original story. So he put this album on, and as soon as I heard the first song, Meeting of the Spirits, I'm kind of like, holy crap, what is this? Nothing I had ever heard before. It's like nothing I had ever heard before, and certainly nothing I was listening to at the time. But man, first of all, I love that guitar player, whose raw, savage tone on Meeting of the Spirits just slices you in half, and the drums and everything else, the violin, the keys, so good. I was hooked, and from that point on, I slowly but surely became a fusion fan. I started listening to more Mahavishnu. I got into the Dregs. I got into Al Di Meola, Jean-Luc Ponty, Miles Davis, so on and so forth. All this stuff just kind of opened up the floodgates, Return to Forever. Everything just happened after this. You got then the awesome acoustic Lovely Dawn. You got the crazy, complex, and pretty raucous the Noonwood Race. You got more a Lotus on Irish Streams, just so gorgeous. Then on side 2, you got lots of funk going on here as well. I mentioned rock and jazz and prog and classical and all this kind of stuff. You got funk here, Vital Transformation, the Dance of Maya, so good. And Awakening. There's just the interplay between these guys was amazing. To me, this is like one of the greatest lineups of any band of any genre of all time. Just so good. Like this telepathic connection between all of them. And if you listen to like the live recordings, I mean, they recreated all this stuff live on stage night after night after night and added to it. It's just crazy. The Cobham's drums are just off the charts great and so heavy, right? And the wonderful duels between Hammer and Goodman and McLaughlin, and then Rick Laird, kind of the quiet, forgotten guy in this band, just anchoring everything all the time. Just so good. And I generally state this as my favorite Mahavishnu Orchestra album, the debut, right? As much as Birds of Fire is great, I always come back to this one as their greatest achievement, the greatest band, in the greatest lineup in their history, of course, without question. But so good, so good. Charts, again, an album of this nature, not going to bust up the charts. However, did make it to number 200 on the Billboard Top 200 charts, 89. Made it to number 89, and on the U.S. Top Jazz Albums, right, it made it to number 11. Right, although this is far removed from probably anything else in 1972 that was sitting on the jazz charts. I guarantee you that. But yeah, whatever. So let us know what you think of this killer album. I'm pretty sure there are no singles released from this, right? Yeah, nothing. Yeah, not surprising, but just a fearsome band. And McLaughlin, of course, playing with lots of people throughout the 60s, and it's going into the early 70s. Of course, he played with Miles, he played with Tony Williams in the Tony Williams lifetime, lots of other collaborations and things before he launched this band on his own. And I think what he learned in both Miles's band and Tony's band, I think, got him ready to do this. And this just kind of took all that and just kicked it up a whole bunch of notches. He got the best players he possibly could, and what a band. And sadly, they only recorded 2 studio albums during their heyday. They recorded a third, which got released much later on. Of course, the Trident Sessions, right? That was supposed to be the third studio album. Well, we did get the live album from Central Park, Between Nothingness and Eternity, where a lot of those songs they were working on and had recorded got played live, but then, of course, when that came out, the band was basically already broken up. It's like, where'd those songs come from? Well, we had to wait like 40 years for the Lost Trident Sessions to come out, and that's pretty damn good on its own right. It makes for a great kind of trio of albums from this band. So, that's my pick. Intermounting Flame from the Mahavishnu Orchestra. Let us know what you think of it down in the comments below, as well as your pick for today, pick number 21. And we'll see you tomorrow for number 20 as we're mowing through October. Right, working our way to number 1. All will be revealed on Halloween, 31st of October. Till then, visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube all together, all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as a post. And please do hit the like button before you leave. Also, down below, we got the links to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations, our merch page, our Cameo page, and of course the Sea of Tranquility membership options. Look for that little join button. That's all down below. And we'll see you tomorrow for another one. I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.